Seasons greetings, hi, TheWarOwl greets you. After the longest season in the history of seasons, lasting about 16 months, we finally have Counter-Strike 2 Season 2, an indication that seasons are going to be about 6 months long. They're going to correspond with the major tournaments. So after the Austin Major, we're going to be getting Counter-Strike 2 Season 2 Episode 2. Because Valve cannot count to 3. Why did it take so long? I think they were working on other things, other systems, but this was always the plan that they were going to do eventually. And I do think it's the best way to do the season system. It was my original suggestion. You have 2 seasons a year corresponding to the majors, and then you do a small map pool change at the end of each season to keep the game fresh. I think that's what's happening because everyone's favorite map, Vertigo, is dead. And Train is now in the active duty map pool, which means Counter-Strike players will religiously veto the new map so that it never gets played, because learning new things makes brain hurt. One of the biggest strengths of the Premier map veto system is that the larger the number of maps that you're proficient at, the bigger advantage you're gonna have in winning the match. Only knowing how to play Mirage and Inferno makes you a worse Counter-Strike player, and that should be reflected in the ratings. If you participated in Season 1, you get a Season 1 medal. This will apply to every season, so your reward for consistently playing will be a permanent cosmetic item with all of your stats tracked. Uh-oh. I don't like this because it reminds me that I only had a 30% win rate at Mirage, and that's permanent. I am now permanently bad. Hey, remember when you had to pay to get the statistics? That was weird. Hopefully the main goal of Premier is that it will become the best way to play Counter-Strike instead of using third-party systems like FACEIT. I love FACEIT, they're good guys, I know them, but it's better that players simply launch the game and press the play button to get the ideal Counter-Strike experience. It's a lower barrier to entry. You don't have all these extra steps. I've been blue in the face saying this. I've been saying this for a long time. But this will never happen unless the cheating problem is taken care of. I think that's the final giant hurdle in making this happen. I don't think it's guaranteed though, because yes, they are working on AI anti-cheats, but is that going to work? I don't know. If they figured out how to dramatically reduce the number of cheaters to the level that Valorant has, and they made the game 128 tick, you know, fixed the whole server, I think Counter-Strike 2 is freaking perfect. Also, this is really annoying. I was trying to queue my placement matches with my friends. We did a 5 queue. One player got to 9 wins, and all of a sudden, we can't queue together anymore. This is stupid and annoying. After we hit this roadblock, we just stopped playing. Do not put roadblocks in the way of playing the game with your friends. There should be no restrictions on 5 queues. I think this was put in place to prevent rank boosting, but it just creates something annoying for everyone else who isn't abusing the game's systems. There's probably a better way to track if somebody's boosting somebody. I believe the queuing algorithm already tries to put 5 queues against other 5 queues, which is good. That's the way it should be. It's almost impossible to win when you get a team of solo queuers against a 5-stack who are running strats with good comms. But restricting who can queue together is also just going to encourage smurfing. People are going to create smurfs in order to queue with different ranked friend groups. I will admit that it is especially annoying if a 20k rating player duo queues with their 2k rated teammate, and all of a sudden I'm in a 20k rating game and have a 2k rated teammate who does absolutely nothing. So I think there should still be reasonable restrictions on party sizes lower than 5. I've seen the argument of banning 5 stacks altogether because 5 stacks always win, but Counter-Strike is a team game. A team is 5 players. Why would you ban the ideal way to play the game just because other people are not able to get a team? It doesn't make any sense to do that. Just prioritize putting 5 stacks against other 5 stacks. They already do that. Bingo, bango, bongo, bitch, batch, bosh, bobs, your uncle, fanny's your aunt, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Just let people play with their friends, for crying out loud. There are some very important changes in this update. First, let's talk about Train. I've been having a lot of fun watching pro matches being played on Train. I assumed the map was going to be played one way, and it definitely is not. There's already a variety of defaults. For example, Eternal Fire with the 4 players B halls every round, giving A main to the CTs, and then using util much later to clear them out while they push Pop Dog and pincer them exiting A main. This ensures B halls control early on, which then gives control of Pop Dog, so lots of positional takes for the Ts, and apparently A main is really easy to retake and punishing for the CTs to push in there when the Ts do get all this other position. This is a very creative default, and it worked. Compare this to Complexity, who took advantage of the T timings to aggro A main and B halls, which is what I thought was gonna be the meta. It's what I suggested you guys do in my videos. Both of these approaches worked. Two completely separate default T sides, and the map went into overtime. New maps are the best way to shake up a stale Counter-Strike meta. In other games, they add new characters and abilities, and they consistently do that, and eventually, the game is a bloated mess. In Counter-Strike, we have new battlefields, a living puzzle to solve. For me, someone who's been playing this game for like 25 years, I like when new maps are added. I like when things are shaken up. It makes it way more interesting for me. They didn't really make a lot of changes to train when it was in the testing phase. They kind of just threw it into the map pool now. It is very difficult to make a Counter-Strike map because the game is so figured out and people play it at such a high level and with such a desire to win and gain an advantage over every little pixel. I expect there to be iterative development, but they haven't really made the big changes that they need to make this map work. For balance changes to Counter-Strike, one of the big problems of CS2 is moving to MR12 without changing the economy. CTs have a really hard time of building up an economy with the smaller number of rounds. The M4A4 price has been reduced to $2,900, which is the same price as the M4A1S. I think everybody liked this update. To those outside of Counter-Strike, this may seem like a small thing, but it's huge. I imagine we'll now be seeing a ratio of 4 A4s to 1 A1S. The A4 has more reliable damage at distance, and the bigger magazine makes it more versatile. The A1S still has its good uses. It's still a usable good weapon we're gonna see in game. It does have an easier recoil pattern, sure, but that's less important the better you are at the game. The main advantage of the A1S is the suppressor. No tracer, and you don't show up on radar. It's still really good for lurks. I imagine at least one player on the team is going to use it. You'll have an AWPer, and then you'll have 3 A4s. That's my guess. We have a reduction in the price of the FAMAS to $19.50, and an improvement to the FAMAS standing and crouching accuracy. I haven't even equipped the FAMAS for CS2 since we have the limited inventory slots, and I like to use the Scout, and occasionally, maybe once in a while, we'll throw an AUG in there. But I have it equipped now, and instead of just using the MP9 and the M4, the FAMAS gives an option for CTs to get an okay weapon on a low economy round where maybe they want to prioritize utility over getting the M4. I'm seeing 1 or 2 FAMASes every single match now. No changes have been made to burst fire. I highly recommend never using it, but from now on I see myself purchasing the FAMAS on the second round when an MP9 just doesn't make sense. The MP9, along with the MP5 and MP7, have a nerf to their crouching accuracy. In the world of donk slides, this is actually kind of huge. I think the purpose is to nerf the SMG's effectiveness at distance, so they're more situational, rather than the meta we see now where CTs will hold on to their MP9s and MP7s for the entire game. So you run around the corner, oh, there's a guy, we're gonna donk slide, and we're still able to use the weapon effectively. So this makes it less effective in that instance. The AUG and the SG got buffs to the scope dot. I think this is less a buff and more just polishing the game. It should have always been this way. The main advantage of these weapons is the scoop. So now visually, it's just easier to use. I almost never buy the SG. Sometimes you're gonna see the AUG, but again, the main problem is the low rate of fire of these weapons. But if you're consistently playing a long range angle in your default, on a map with a lot of long range angles, the AUG can be useful. But again, CT economy sucks. Every dollar counts. Maybe a price reduction in the AUG is needed. There's a new dynamic zoom option for the radar. I really like this. Previously, when they added the ability to toggle zoom levels on the radar, I set up a bind to zoom in for afterplant. Valve has made this an official feature. If you enable this setting, which I have, the radar will zoom in when your teammates are closer together, when you have to focus on less of the map and maybe get more precise locations. Some people are not going to want variance to the radar when they glance over at it. I completely understand this. You're absorbing a lot of information in a few milliseconds, and consistency is more important. This is a personal preference thing. I think zooming out the radar and leaving it non-dynamic will probably be the accepted meta, but I'm going to keep on dynamic for now, see how it plays. I'm liking it so far, but there are times where I glance over at the radar and I get a little confused. Added fallback logic to allow playing incomplete demo files, either copied from an ongoing live match or recovered after a game server crash. This is gonna save me, as a content creator, a lot of trouble. I've been having a lot of demos corrupted because of this, so this is a good change. However, when trying to view demos, the damn mouse cursor keeps showing up in the middle of the screen in first person person mode. When I toggle through the other view modes, it'll just pop right back in there. This is extremely annoying. Why is there a mouse cursor at all? It's gotta be a bug. Valve, please fix this. It's ruining my life. Also, it's been extending into my actual matches when I'm trying to play the game. This happened. No E-box smoke. My damn mouse cursor is like, I can't do anything. I can't even move. Are you kidding? My mouse cursor, one canals, one coming in. Listen, Vertigo was the least picked map. Nobody liked it. Opening up the wall here was a huge mistake. I like the new catwalk on A-Site. I think this was a good addition, but opening up this wall ruined the map in my opinion. A-Site just didn't make any sense anymore. They were trying to fix the problem of the meta being just to execute A-Site with smokes every round, plant for ramp, and then play after plant, so most of the gameplay was just spamming smokes. Maybe there's a better solution to this, but for now, Vertigo is vertigone. I don't expect to see it again for a long time. I may have killed Cobblestone. I will admit to this crime, but I did not kill Vertigo. Valve killed Vertigo. Thank you both very much for watching. I am TheWarOwl, and I still have no closer.